Yeah. So what led up to the first stock purchase? So
Good question.
I might like, I
Woo.
felt like Tesla had to
Eh,
succeed. Like it
eh, eh,
had
eh.
to. And
Now
Yeah.
this is a good
When
question.
what's your exit
What's your
plan?
exit
Do you
plan?
have an
There we
exit plan?
go.
Like when do you just okay, so
You
do you
just
just hold on to these Tesla shares
for the rest of your
for the
life.
rest of your life?
That's it.
Like what do you do? Like or do you sell at some point? What makes you sell? Do you have certain scenarios that
That's a
happen
good.
that could make you sell?
mm,
This is the best thing I've ever watched.
It's like
Uh
so
huh.
amazing how
Very
smart people
smart.
like I'm actually surprised at how like sharp they are in certain areas. It's just
Yep.
like,
Yep.
whoa,
Yep.
are you serious? And
yeah.
um, talking to and knowing these people, and I'm friends with some of them too, and they're great people in different ways.
Uh huh.
Um,
I'm waiting for it. What is he gonna say?
it kind of though gives me a sense of with investing that it's not as big as an advantage to be so-called smart by society in terms of
Mm.
Yeah.
degrees and let's say you can
Mm.
solve the craziest
Mm.
coding problem or you
Yeah.
could be a crazy statistician or AI expert.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't
Right.
necessarily transfer over to investing.
Yeah.
And I think
Doesn't.
that
Yeah.
that
I,
realization
And
or just seeing that
I,
over and over.
I can't even describe how much I relate to that because it's so true. A lot of people think it's about being smart, knowing the most technical language there is. No, at the end of the day, for me, to make it simple, it's all about making money. If you can't make money as an investor, if you can't get a positive ROI, you're losing. Guys, today we have Dave Lee on investing. This is most likely, arguably, one of the best things that you ever watch. Okay, so go click that like button on this video, subscribe as well because he drops some fire. Because this, hey, all I'm saying is we're in for a great treat. I mean, look at the title. Look at the title already. All right, look at what the title says. Zoom out. There we go. Retired at 39 years of age. Oh my days, with 12 million in Tesla. Guys, I was about to make a video where I cover all of this. And the video is coming where I'm going to explain to you guys my plan to become a millionaire. I have someone in the Discord group that asked me a question. What do I do? Talking about the Discord, here it is. Shout out to Chambers35. If you do want to join the Discord, link is in the description of this video as well. Trading 212, deposit £1 into the account and they'll give you a share that's valued up to £100. Let's get back to the video.
Dave, welcome to episode 235, and today we've got a special
I'm
episode. I'm
excited.
joined by Jason DeBolt, who is a Tesla investor.
Uh-huh.
Now 39 years old, and he's retired off of his Tesla shares. And this is going to be a great episode. I just want to welcome you on. Thank you, Jason.
thanks for having me.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward actually to getting to know you better, hearing your story, and I've seen your Twitter account and your tweets, and I think it's just awesome that you've had such a a run with Tesla, and now that you're, I guess, financially, I guess, free in a sense,
Independent.
you're able to retire. I guess pursue other goals, right, than what you were doing
Right.
before.
Yeah. So I'm, I pretty much have a lot of free time now, and I'm actually still working. I have two more weeks left. So I did announce my retirement the same day that I tweeted my retirement announcement that went viral.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm probably going to take a little bit of time off, just maybe 30 days or so, just to unplug and maybe go on a road trip and just I
Oh
might
my
disappear from
days.
Twitter
Man
for a
said go on
while,
road trips.
do a lot of reading, and then yeah, so I'll probably try to do the YouTube thing. I'm actually going to try to create a small channel and see where that goes.
Awesome.
And if people find it fun and useful, then I'll keep doing it. If not, I'm probably gonna.
Goal here. So
Of this,
over the years, we've had Tesla do an amazing run over the years, and one of my interests personally is kind of how to really take advantage of these outsized opportunities in the market. Investing in what I call generational companies that probably don't come along that often. And one of the questions I always have is like, why is it that some or most people miss that opportunity while others, let's say, catch it, but then they catch it at different times? And why do some people sell early? Why do some hold on? How do people grow conviction, right? And there's always stories of people growing conviction in the wrong company, right? They make mistakes.
Right.
And so it's fascinating to me how it's possible to take a relatively small amount of money. I mean, that's relative, of course, because for some people, $1,000 is a huge amount. But in the investment world, let's say relatively, it's say tens of thousands, but really grow that, let's say 100x or something, or 50
Yeah.
or 100x. It's fascinating that that's possible, right? And one of my kind of duties or responsibilities or goals I have is try to unpack that, to unpack the principles, the lessons and insights. And it's kind of one of my side hobbies is interviewing kind of people who've made a lot with Tesla, but seeing what they can share that's valuable to the
That
greater
we can
public.
take. Oh,
Because I
thank you,
think
Dave.
investing in a way is kind of like this, I won't say hidden gem, but there's a lot of power in investing, and I don't think the so-called traditional investment world has uncovered it all or has a monopoly by any means on stuff like that. So, yeah, so the goal of this kind of chat is we want to get to know, I want to get to know you, but I also want to really dive deep. And I think most interviews, they might just cover the first level, hear your story and say, wow, you're retired, congratulations. But I want to dig a couple levels deeper. And I want to kind of
Yes.
dig into your thought process, your motivation, and the
Ah,
insights that you've
this
learned
interview.
over the years since you've invested. So let's go back and, this stuff isn't just an overnight thing. So you've
Yeah.
invested in Tesla for quite a while. When did it all get started for you? When did that interest in Tesla, how did you hear about it? And when did you, I guess, what led up to the first stock purchase?
Okay, before he answers, I'm just gonna quickly jump in there and just add, because I feel like investing is honestly like almost spiritual to a sense, because it's all about belief and your conviction. And some people lack to believe or to see in the distance like where this company is going, and I believe Tesla is one of those companies. Hence to why with the small positions that I have, I'm still pouring. That answers all of your questions. Some of the people who've been asking, what are my intentions for Tesla? Am I still buying? Is it overpriced? Is it too expensive? I'm still buying. Now let's see what this genius is about to say.
Yeah. So what led up to the first stock purchase? So I actually didn't start off as an all-in investor. I never thought that was a good idea. I mean, I originally had a diversified portfolio. Once I started working full time, I worked at Google, and I was a pretty low-level employee. I wasn't making, I wasn't your typical Googler. I was fresh out of college, and I was just trying to pretty much make ends meet. And I was not a software engineer in my first job at Google, my first role. And so I took advantage of my 401k, and I did full matching, and we had a really good 401k program. So I had a diversified portfolio, some index funds, a couple of stocks that I don't even remember now. But I the so I first heard about Tesla in 2009 at the San Mateo Maker Faire. The Maker Faire is this fair that they had with there were a lot of kind of geeks there, a lot of robots and people making their own computers, and they had just all kinds of really amazing stuff. And Tesla was there. They had an early Model S prototype, and they also had a roadster kind of powertrain roadster skateboard. And that was my first
That's
exposure
cool.
to Tesla. And so this early Model S prototype actually had I think it had a grill on the front. If you do a Google search for this prototype, it looked different than the Tesla that eventually came out.
We're gonna learn a
And
lot in
so I
this.
was like, wow, this is amazing. This is an electric car that actually looks pretty cool. So I kind of created a space in my brain for this company, Tesla, which I'd never heard about before that point. And a few years later, I was driving down El Camino Real in the Bay Area, and
And you
that a
see it.
San Mateo, there was a Menlo Park sales center, a Tesla sales center. I walk in and I see the Model S skateboard. I hadn't seen the skateboard for the Model S before that. I saw the prototype, but not the skateboard. And something clicked in my brain.
Let me know. Did you know that a skateboard existed? I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. But obviously he's saying it, so I didn't know that there was a skateboard.
Was the future. Just seeing how simple it was compared to
Yeah, all
the
the other
internal combustion
cars.
engine. I grew up working on cars. I have a family photo album that goes back 100 years. That's a binder this thick of hundreds of cars that have been in my family. It's called the DeBolt Motor Vehicle, the DMV album.
Wow.
And this goes back to the Ford Model A, Ford Model T. We have
Wow.
all the cars. I grew up with a Chevy Nova. I used to race it illegally at street racing, and had and so
Naughty
I
boy.
knew a little bit about cars. And but I also had this fascination with kind of electric, like slot cars and RC
Yeah.
cars. So I kind of had this experience with cars, and I always thought, why can't all cars just be electric? They're much simpler, they're fast. I mean, at scale, at a small scale. And I was just like, when is this going to happen? And so I kind of, that was the experience that I brought to the table, just knowing how much superior electric vehicles could be. And also I was in the right area. I grew up in the Silicon Valley. I was able to go to this fair. I lived near the Menlo Park Sales Center, so I kind of got lucky in the early on, just seeing Tesla, getting exposed to Tesla. I ordered a car. I got a call 18 months later out of nowhere to come to the factory and pick up the car. That was like the most amazing. That was really incredible to get a call from the factory, and like no warning. They just call you and you're like,
Guys, as we're watching this, I just had an awesome idea. Most of you guys might know, I don't know if you do, but Stephen Mark Ryan solving the money problem. And I was like, imagine if I tweeted him and I gave him the link to join so we can watch it live right now, because this guy has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Tesla. So I'm just gonna do it. You never know, and if you don't try, then you never find out. So the worst that could happen is he says no, he just ignores it. All right, guys, there's the tweet. I typed it up, and yeah, I'm about to press send. Let's see if he joins, but you're about to witness it right now. It's funny how this is all on video, but you never know until you try. Your tweet was sent. So let's carry on back with the video.
factory.
Okay, let's see.
I just saw how much they were doing, how much they were building. It was so vertically integrated. I had no idea that they were, they had their own stamping machine. They had their own stamp dies. They had giant rolls of aluminum that they would stamp with, and just the amount of the robots and the automation was pretty incredible. So I drove the car home. That was my first time driving the car, and I realized that that the stock wasn't pricing in the success of the Model 3 launch. I had one of the first few thousand Tesla Model S's, Model 3. And
So in other words, he saw an opportunity where other people didn't. So he was like, you know what? I might as well just jump on it.
buy shares. So I bought 2,500 shares at $7.50 a share.
Goodness
And,
me, how
I just
juicy.
held on to those shares, and I continued to buy more for the next several years. And
Great.
and I just
Yeah. So actually, before the interview, I asked you if you could send a list of your trades or just when you bought, and so I have them here. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's actually super helpful. So it shows all of the dates and how many shares you bought, right, and what price. And I also got kind of this confirmation letter from your brokerage account of what's in your brokerage.
So we know he's not lying.
So, yeah, this is great. So I guess before going further, I should say currently you own it's about almost 15,000 shares, and total amount.
Wow, that is amazing. And we're barely scraping 20 shares right now. He owns 15,000 shares? What? Hold on, let's hear that again, please. Dave Lee.
Great. So
this is the best interview
going
ever.
further, I should say currently you own it's about almost 15,000 shares. And the total amount is a bit over $12 million in all of your accounts. Some are in IRA or Roth IRA and traditional IRA, and then about half are in a normal account. So I'm curious, were there
so
other
excited
times
for
where you
him.
kind of had that moment of enlightenment where you're like, this is the
This is
future
amazing.
besides this Tesla powertrain?
You mean for other companies?
Yeah, or just other products, or other
products.
things that you might remember. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think that was the first time I had that strong of a feeling.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I maybe could have felt that way with the iPhone, but I never considered buying Apple shares.
Yeah.
But people had years to buy. I think they had years to buy Apple shares after the first iPhone came out, and you could have done really well.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's one of the interesting things about investing. Sometimes great products can be out for years before
They blow
stocks have big breakouts. So it just takes, you just need to be close to the products and recognize great products for what they are, and yeah, eventually the stock price will follow.
Yeah. So let's talk about where you grew up. You're saying you grew up. Did you grow up in Silicon Valley, or where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in Cupertino.
Oh, are you serious? Where? Like,
Yeah,
I have no idea
kind
what
of
that is from.
near. It's funny. You grew up in the Bay Area too, right,
yeah,
San
yeah,
Jose?
yeah,
Yeah, I just found that from your previous
yeah.
one of your previous interviews.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I grew up kind of near Homestead High School. I actually went to the same high school as Steve Jobs. Steve
Oh,
Jobs, so
okay. So did you go to Homestead?
pretty close. Yeah, I went to
What?
Homestead.
Nice. I went to Limbrook High
Yeah.
School.
Ah, my God. Okay, yeah, we
Yeah,
used
actually, for
to.
those who don't know, Limbrook is
Yeah,
just down the
we don't
Yeah,
street.
know.
It's in the
Can't relate.
same like
yeah.
district, etc. Yeah, yeah, Homestead, totally. Um,
Damn.
got it. So, yeah, it's interesting. Do you think that impacted your thinking at all toward technology in the future and change?
Probably. Um, yeah, I mean, I worked at a dot-com company pre 2000 bubble, pre dot-com bubble, and I saw people go from thinking they would be multimillionaires to crying in their cubicles and cussing at the CFO for cashing out on his preferred stock before things went south. So I was working in a tech company when that happened. I saw all the excitement and then just the crash. So I was able to see I don't know if you would call it actually irrational exuberance, but that I understood what hype was all about and how people can have kind of unrealistic expectations. Um, I mean, that was something that I remember clearly,
Yeah.
and just being around a lot of my friends' parents. A lot of them worked for tech companies and they made a ton of money. I had a friend whose dad had like $6 million in Microsoft stock, and he
Say
was just like
what?
some average guy, like it wasn't even an executive. And I just heard, I think that's when I became familiar with like investing in stocks. And then
Yeah.
um, my mother was also she gave me a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Oh,
and
let's
I
go,
read
Robert
that, and
Kiyosaki.
that was probably my first exposure to just like passive income, and
Got
I
it.
think it was like 17 or 18.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Um, what did, if you don't mind me asking, what did your parents do for their occupation?
So my dad was a machinist. He grew up in Silicon Valley as well. Um, when Silicon Valley wasn't really Silicon Valley yet, it
Yeah.
was basically orchards. And then my mother was she worked in HR, um, and and my stepdad, who I've had in my life for 30 plus years, he
Uh-huh.
was an elevator electrician. Um, and uh, and so, but I feel like I learned from all of them. I mean, my dad was very incredibly intuitive. He had a sense for. He never really went to college. Actually, none of those three went to college. My mom did finish her degree at some point when I was in high school, I think, which is awesome. But the two men in my life didn't go to college. But my dad was an incredibly, really gifted machinist and model maker, and he used to help me with school projects. And um, we had a milling machine in my garage. I had a lathe. I had a workshop, so I would build stuff for my car. So yeah, I grew up with a shop, and I think I also took a lot of shop classes when I was in middle school, so I think that actually helped me a little bit recognize how the potential with Tesla, and seeing mechanically how there's so few moving parts. It's just a superior
It was
um,
sound. It was
drivetrain, and
quality design.
the
Yeah.
technologies are so much better. So I
Quick update on Stephen Mark Ryan solving the money problem. Just to check if he's replied to me or not. And so far, no, there it is right there, lonely 9 minutes ago. But I'll keep watching the video and I'll keep you guys updated as we move along. But this interview is so far amazing. Let's get back to.
computer science because
Uh-huh.
I eventually did become a software engineer and a programmer.
Okay, so it's a.
But as I get older, I realized actually my major really helped me with investing. So,
How?
In what ways?
so just learning about a little bit about game theory, about different like how compounding, truly internalizing compounding, opportunity costs, understanding supply and demand really well, economies of scale. Just there's so many things you learn studying economics that are just beneficial to long-term thinking, exponential thinking. You understand. I mean, like you don't really have to understand this stuff to become a good investor, but for me, it did help me a little bit.
Um, was there a moment when compounding just like it dawned on you, it clicked? You're like, oh my gosh, like this is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you bust out a spreadsheet and just like compound, just if you just compound at 7% a year for 30 years, you realize that at the end of that 30-year period, like 95% of the value of your investment is like from interest earned on interest. And
Mm.
once you understand capital gains and taxes, you realize, wow, I need to get a Roth, like
Yeah,
so that I can
ASAP.
grow my investments tax free.
Yeah.
And so just kind of understanding
So for the
compounding really
people
helped
in
me
the
think
UK who
about,
don't know what a Roth IRA is basically an ISA. So we have an ISA up in America. They have a Roth. So that's what that is. So meaning the taxman stays away from your money. Whenever you make any capital gains, you get to keep 100% of it, which is what we love over here. We definitely love that. But yeah.
capital gains and taxes, and just how incredible. Yeah, I did internalize compounding in college. I think I knew what it was in high school. Everyone has to, learn this stuff, but truly internalizing it with spreadsheets and trying different percentages or different compounding percentages over different periods and taking present value, discounted cash flows, all of that stuff you learned in finance, or I learned in finance class, and that was really helpful. So.
Interesting. Yeah, I noticed like yeah, I feel like with certain investors, there's a time when compounding just is
Yeah.
so clear, and it's so obvious that
Yeah.
it focuses the investing approach differently than
Right.
without that concept.
True.
So let's say after college you graduate with business economics from UCLA. What do you do next?
Try to find a job. It took me 6 months to find a job. I lived at home with my parents for a few months after that, and I eventually got a job at Google as a contractor from an ad in Craigslist, which we called the black hole. Craigslist was like the black hole for finding a job at Google, but it was one of the sources for the team I joined. That was one of the sources for candidates that they looked at, and I just got in through Craigslist. I was a contractor for about a year, and then I
What
was
were you
able to
do?
convert to full-time
What were
employee.
you doing during that time?
So actually,
He's
I was
asking really good
a fraud
questions.
analyst. I was
Thank you,
reviewing
David.
individual orders for
Or
Google
Dave.
Checkout, and then I became a business analyst because I had some SQL programming skills that I learned in that first year, and I was also really good with Excel and VBA and macros, and then I started to get into Python. Maybe my second year. And I would stay late in the office and just talk with engineers, and they would review my code and give me feedback. It's kind of like a master apprentice kind of thing where I just was able to work with a lot of engineers, and they helped me. One guy showed me how to use Vim, so I just spent a ton of time using the Vim editor and then learning SQL and Python. And Google was a perfect place to learn all this stuff. And I just learned how to become an engineer over.
And on your spreadsheet, I have
Okay.
April 1st, 2013, you bought 500 shares, it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay. So were you eyeing the stock at that time? Were you looking at your brokerage a little bit, or what happened? What triggered kind of
That buy, yeah.
500 share purchase? I guess post split is 2,500 shares. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. I
I
decided
wish I had
to
500 shares.
buy Tesla shares on the drive home from the factory. I decided to buy. I didn't know how many I was going to buy, but I knew I was going to buy a fairly large position. But that ended up being about $19,000.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
2,500 shares at 750, which is before the split. It was 500 at 37.
Wow.
And
Guys, think of it. Back then, $19,000 would get you 500 shares. You couldn't even scrape 500 shares with that much. You can't even. I don't even think you can get 20 shares. You can't get 20 shares with 500. With 19,000. So it really goes to show you when you see an opportunity in something, especially when your conviction levels are super high, just take the action, man. It would be the biggest regret of his life if he didn't make a bold
so
move
I
like
decided
that
to buy
back then.
on the drive home, but I think I waited a week or two. Like you said, in April, I think is when I made that transaction. So
Got it. And then, so can you explain like what did that mean to you? So you're buying 500 pre-split shares at $37. The total amount is about 19,000. So, 19,000. Like, what percent of your kind of cash on hand, or how big was your portfolio at that time? I mean, I'm supposing most of it was in your 401k. Is that correct?
yeah, 401k. I think for my non-IRA account, which is where I bought those 500 shares, I think it was probably about a 20%, maybe a little
Fresh.
less than 20%, 10 to 20% of my portfolio at the time. Um, yeah,
Okay. And then so it wasn't like you're going all in on your first
no,
purchase by any
yeah,
means. And then you had another set of retirement accounts that are outside your
right,
non-IRA stuff. So it was a relatively small
Portfolio.
purchase in a
Sorry,
sense,
yeah,
bigger picture.
I think so.
How
Yeah.
about your salary? I mean, you don't have to divulge stuff you don't want
Nah,
to, but
nah,
like
give us
how
all
much
of
were
it.
you
Give us
making
all of it.
back
We
in
want to
2000?
know. That's exactly what I'm curious about. Especially, he said his background is software. I know the salaries are heavy, and the USA as well, and Silicon Valley, and Google. So, back then, to be able to have 19K, to go ahead and dump it into an investment. Now it seems like the best investment he's made, like, in his whole life, because we can see what Tesla's doing. But back then, it was more about belief. He just had that conviction that, tomorrow will be better. And if it doesn't, then I guess it is what it is. So now everything is just super interesting because of
2013 or
what we
so.
know now about Tesla.
Probably less than the average Googler. Um, Probably something like I won't give the
70K?
exact number, but it
Yeah.
was like
Ah,
I don't know. It was over 100K. It was like maybe
God. Just cut the camera, please. Guys, I'm going to stop being a full-time YouTuber, and I'm going to apply for a software engineering job. Okay? All right. Goodbye. Bye-bye. No, I mean bye now. Just cut it. Cut it. I realize I have to learn Python and all the other computer language so long. Let's get back to the video.
but the total compensation,
Oh
you
my.
know, was I don't know. It was well above 100,000 for the total compensation probably.
Sure.
By that time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't remember. But Google compensation is kind of weird. They had, you know, there's RSUs, restricted stock units. There's like 401k and all the perks that they have. There's really great benefits. So they kind of have the overall compensation is much bigger than your salary. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhere north of 100k.
Got it. For the compensation part or
Wow.
Just for the salary.
okay, just for
The
the
salary
salary.
was like I'm gonna say like maybe like I don't know 2013 maybe 130k.
Okay, and then you had the compensation
Yeah.
part with for Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then everything else on top of that.
Got
Yeah.
it. So
Wow.
20,000, it wasn't the largest sum in the world, but it was decently significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you buy that, and how do you feel after that? Do you
Yeah,
just
good
forget about
question.
it, or what's going through your head back in April 2013?
I'm so excited. Like, Dave is asking the right questions at the right time, so it gives us more insight as the viewers, as we're watching right now together. So you could just see, like, it's painting a picture. Like, I wonder what was going through his mind. How much money did he have? How much risk was it? I mean, 100+ K salary, man. Jesus. Give a brother a bone, show you. Damn. Damn. Wow. Oh my God.
So it was a lot. It felt like a lot, and Tesla was expensive at the time. It always seems expensive. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like Tesla always seems expensive. Great stocks are always that way.
It always seems expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, when stocks split, it's like now you look back and you're like, wow, $7 was expensive. It's like,
Yeah.
So in hindsight, it's very clear. But at the time, it always seems like you're taking a big risk. There was a doubling or tripling of Tesla between in that around between March in June, I think it went from like $30 to $80 a share.
Uh,
So I almost doubled my money in just 3 months.
yeah.
And so I had
Almost.
coworkers telling me to sell my shares, and
Hmm.
I decided.
Oh my days, what everyone is telling me, sell, there's a bubble about to burst. So you can see this existed even back then. But let me give you guys a quick update how we're doing on our Twitter, just to see if Stephen Mark Ryan replied back to us or not. By the way, if you don't know, he's a big YouTuber, a big YouTuber, but yeah, let's find out. So I'm about to see Stephen Mark Ryan. No, he hasn't replied to us. Let's just come off the app and close our phone and back to the video.
To sell
Great.
anything. So
Uh-huh. At that time, I mean, there was a lot of noise around Tesla, possibly, like running out of cash, going bankrupt.
yeah,
Like, how did you process that? Like,
Yeah, how did
it
you
seemed
manage
like you
that?
bought the car with a big chunk of cash, and then you went
yeah.
on and bought some additional shares. So, I mean, did you discount those kind of bankruptcy kind of chatter, or did you think that it was a legitimate, possibility?
Yeah, you would hear things, and then months later, you would like read in some article that Elon was in talks with Larry Page about selling the company.
Selling to. Yeah. Whoa, what's going on? This.
The Model 3
There we
ramp
go.
was kind of similar in that I guess he was trying to talk to Tim Cook about possibly selling Tesla. So I think during both the Model S and Model 3 ramp,
So
they had
you
some really
guys,
close
if you
calls.
don't know, there was a tweet about
But
it. There's the tweet right there. During the darkest days of my Model 3 program, I reached out to Tim Cook to discuss the possibility of Apple acquiring Tesla, and yeah, he basically refused to take the meeting. But now, who's laughing? Yeah, Tim Cook. Who's laughing now? So coming up next, we also have Jason's pre-split purchase, which he made of when it was hovering around $82. So that's quite. I'm curious to find that
I
out as
just
well.
saw
Let's
what was
see.
on the ground. I thought like the factory was amazing. The sales process was incredibly smooth. The
The
car
machine that
was
builds the machine.
incredible. Um, just as a consumer, they were killing it. They were doing really, really well. But from the business side, if you look at their financials, I'm sure they were just burning cash. And I actually didn't really, um, I looked at the financials a little bit, but I never really truly uh,
Dove
took the
in there.
time to analyze them in detail, and that
Mm-hmm.
probably helped me. I spent a lot of my college days like at UCLA studying financials. I took something like 10 plus accounting classes. I learned how to read financials. That's not to
Damn.
say that I was experienced in reading them. I just, I knew something about them. I just didn't I kind of ignored them. I just thought that you know if you have a company, you're building a company this good, you have this kind of leadership, you're hiring this caliber of engineers,
It
um,
makes sense to
they'll
burn
make it
cash.
work. Like it had to take some faith. I had to take a leap
Yeah.
of faith that they would eventually make it through. They would get the funding that they needed, and they would succeed, right?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So I was an optimist, and it worked out.
Um,
Luckily for me. So
yeah. Back then, like, what did you think were the odds of Tesla being successful with the Model 3, and how much did
Good
that play in
question.
part of your initial investment into Tesla?
Good
um,
question, man.
I didn't even know it was called the Model 3 at the time, but I knew that they were going to release a kind of mass production car. And I thought they would do amazing. I thought it would eventually, you know, do very well. I didn't, to be honest, I don't remember thinking too much about that. I was more excited about kind of the energy side of the business, um, and I still am. But I think that, yeah.
Mhm. And at this time, let's say April, when you're making your first stock purchase, 19,000 or so, are you talking with anyone about it? Are you interacting, communicating with any other investors or websites or
No,
anything? Like, are you just
nothing.
clueless?
I never
Just
talked to, yeah, just clueless. I never talked to any financial advisors. I didn't ask for feedback from a friend. I just did it because I
And I
thought
think that
like
it worked well for him in his
I
favor.
just saw how misunderstood the company was. People didn't really
Yes.
understand electric vehicles. They didn't see, most people had never even actually seen a Model S or seen a Tesla, let alone driven one or sit inside of one. I mean, when I got the Model S, I was one of the few people at the Google campus, at the Google headquarters. I had one. I mean, and Google is just like a Tesla parking lot, and so is Palo Alto. I mean, they're
Yeah.
everywhere. So
You
when I
hear that
saw
dog?
other Tesla owners, we would wave, and it was almost like it meant something because there were so few Teslas on the road. It was almost like when you ride a motorcycle and you see somebody else at the intersection, another motorcycle rider, you wave, and it's like, yeah, there's another crazy idiot just like me, right? It's kind of like the same mindset of just like there's another driver and there's another Tesla owner, and we would talk at the
150 pre-split shares at
May
82
17,
bucks.
150
You spent about
pre-split shares.
$12,000. So the stock goes up. It basically it more than doubles at
But you buy
82
again.
bucks. Um, and you buy some. What's going through your mind at that point?
like I said, every single transaction was kind of scary. They just got scarier and scarier. Like I remember, yeah, I think I do remember buying, even as Tesla was doubling from 30 to 80. I remember like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. They just, Tesla just doubled in price. But Tesla's $850 today, and going from 30 to $80 back then, that's not split adjusted. So that's like going from $7 to $15, right? That seemed high risk. I mean, buying Tesla after it doubled seemed like really risky at the time. But look, I mean, Tesla's 100x since that time. So, in the long run, it really doesn't matter. This is why you shouldn't really buy. I don't believe in buying on the dips, because if you have a long-term vision, if you're a long-term buy and hold investor, it just doesn't make sense to try to time anything. I don't try to time anything. Like
Wow.
um, my four.
I'm so thankful that he said that, because I feel the same way. I feel like if I'm holding all the way deep into like maybe 10 years, 20, 15 years, what the heck is a dip going to matter? You know what? I'd rather much just have my money in the market so it's working. Okay, maybe you might say there's a few exceptions, but hey, to each their own. That's all I have to say. Because for me, really, if you're going long term, then it doesn't matter. 20 years, it's yeah, you get the gist. So you risk missing a huge jump where you could have gained a ton of money right at the beginning, because you was trying to get, oh, I'm waiting for that dip. That ketchup, that sauce, that dip. You might miss that dip and eat some
When I
dry
really got
fries.
into Tesla, I think I placed like a
Get it?
like $400,000 market order. I didn't dollar cost average. I just sold off everything and bought it all in one go. And I think I immediately lost like 50K doing that. Like the next day it went down. But it's like, but looking back, I mean, that was
That's what's
a
happened to
genius
me as
move. I
well.
mean, now that 401k is worth five million. So, um,
No, my friend, you're not just gonna say that and then skip past it. He said now that 401k is worth 5 million. That alone is worth 5 million. Oh my days, what am I doing in my life, eh? What am I doing? Where's Stephen Mark
my
Ryan? Where's his
401k, when I
reply?
rolled that into Tesla, I think I
He
placed
stood me up.
like $400,000 market order. I didn't dollar cost average. I just sold off everything and bought it all in one go. And I think I immediately lost like 50K doing that. Like the next day it went down. But it's like, but looking back, I mean, that was a
Best
genius move. I
decision.
mean, now that 401k is worth five million. So, um, so I mean, if I
Wow.
dollar cost averages, I maybe could have done a little bit better, but I also could have missed out on some upside.
Huge. There we go.
So at this point, so in May, so you've had your car for maybe a month or two. Are you growing your conviction in Tesla? Is that kind of why you're purchasing a bit more of Tesla shares?
Yeah, my conviction definitely grew as I started to
Drive it.
see how, like, I mean, Tesla was continuing to innovate. Um, it was continuing to be misunderstood by not only the public and Wall Street, but by even people at Google, like super smart technical people at Google. Um, some of them didn't even understand it until I actually got them physically in my car and told them to drive it.
Wow.
And when you see somebody
That's powerful.
change, like I think having people test drive my Tesla was like one of the few times in my life where I actually saw people change, like their mindset. Like literally, you see the change in they go from somebody who's kind of knows nothing about Tesla, doesn't have an opinion, to like, I want to buy one, right? They want to buy the car.
Wow.
or you go from somebody who's
So you hear that all the time, and it speaks volume coming out of his mouth, okay, Jason, DeBolt, because he earned one back then, and the performance of that vehicle, the one that he had, it was just, it was, damn, that's amazing. People drove it. Listen to what he said. People, as soon as they drove it, you could see the mindset change. Like you can see it in their face. That's powerful. That is very rare to have a product that's able to do that continuously. Hence to why till today, Tesla does not do any marketing or anything like that. It's just pretty much word of mouth. As soon as somebody drives it, they become an evangelist. They start talking about Tesla, how amazing it is, and they look forward to the future. So that is crazy right there. That's why I'm still buying Tesla.
So you see them just completely change their mindset, right in front of your eyes. And I can't think of many times in my life where I've seen people change that quickly.
Wow.
So that was really powerful to see.
That is powerful.
I demoed the car. I gave many test drives at Google, and a lot of people at Google had the ability to buy Teslas. People are pretty well off. So, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Fast forward to November 13th. So this is actually, you noted, is a settle date. So actually, it's a few days before that. November 13th, 2013, you buy 142 shares.
Wow.
At $141 pre-split. So you put another $20,000. So you finish up your $50,000 of stock purchases for 2013. Was there any reason why you did another $20,000 in November of 2013?
I think I would wait until I had like 10 to 20K saved, and then I would just buy all the shares I could buy. I think that was my approach. Is I would build up like 10 or 20 or 30K and then buy. And then after, I think starting around 2015 or late 2014, I started buying on margin. I transitioned to a margin account, and then I started to make larger and larger transactions.
Yeah. Yeah. So I noticed that. So your last buy off with cash was March 20th, 2014. Tesla was at 235. You spent $26,000, and then it seems like you kind of, did you run out of cash? I mean, I guess you had other stuff. Did you have other stuff in your portfolio at that time? I guess.
I still had a few other stocks.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I sometimes say I'm all in since 2013, but it's really not entirely true. I did have some stocks lingering around until like 2015 probably, but not that much. Like just a few tens of thousands. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you buy, and then you start buying on margin on the same day, settling.
So just so you guys know as well, I'm skipping a lot of the parts of the interview, so you guys can obviously go and watch it and check it out on Dave Lee's channel for yourself, just because obviously it's nice to do as well, and you can get the full thing with no interruption or without my face on it. But if you love my face, then yes, I'm right there at the corner. But let's carry on back with the video.
$41,000 on margin. What clicked?
What changed,
what made you like turn into a margin investor?
Yeah. Well, like I just saw at some point Tesla wasn't moving anywhere. Like the stock price wasn't really moving, and I was like, but in my head I was like, why isn't Tesla Tesla is actually worth a lot more than this? Like, I don't know what the market cap at the time was, but I looked around and I saw like other companies that weren't doing nearly as much. It didn't have the future that Tesla had, and they were worth 10 times or 20 times more than Tesla. And I just thought it was way undervalued. And even like just a couple years ago, Tesla was worth less than Uber. And I was like, what is this? I had just been to Korea and I saw an Uber-like app that in some ways was better. And I was like, Uber has no moat, and like anybody could just whip up an Uber app. Why is it worth more than Tesla? It just made no sense to me. I mean, I ignored the financials. I didn't really care. I just thought, okay, what is this company really worth? And yeah,
You saw
I
the
kind of
value
ignored
before it
all
was there.
advice from people who were financial advisors or supposedly knew how to write incredibly detailed Excel financial models. Like I didn't care about any of that. I just knew what Tesla was worth, and it was a lot more than what it was at the time. So that's when I started to build conviction and go on margin. I tried to find ways to buy more shares, and I discovered margin. And that was kind of a mistake. I'm in net loss. Right now, I will never buy shares using margin. And I just feel like it's too risky. I don't trust myself with it.
Yeah,
I lost.
actually, I want to go through your trades a bit
Yeah.
and kind of walk through your margin experience. So
Yeah.
in 2014, you ended up buying $82,000 almost of Tesla stock on margin. So you're starting to rack up some margin. When you
Yeah.
buy this, are you starting to pay it down a bit with your salary and savings?
Probably. I was probably paying down margin a little bit, but I wasn't making a big dent in it. I was probably buying more than I should have on margin.
And then in September 3rd of 2015, this is over a year later. So you bought some
Yeah.
80 something thousand in margin, and you take a break for a year. And then in September of 2015, you transfer, I guess you buy in your 401k, 1,000 shares, you spend 255,000. So what's going on? Are you transferring your 401k over from other stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think I had a Vanguard 401k with like some Vanguard ETF. That was doing okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I eventually figured out how to do a self-directed 401k, and I think I rolled it over into. I sold out the ETF shares, bought Tesla in Vanguard, and then eventually I
Yes.
moved that over to Fidelity. But that was that big transaction I made. I think it may have bought. It wasn't 400,000 initially, maybe 250,000 in Tesla
Wow.
stock that I bought initially when I liquidated my old ETF funds and then bought Tesla with
Okay.
my Vanguard 401k.
Got it. So you add 1,000 shares, and fortunately they're not in margin; they're just stuck away in your
Yeah.
401k. And then in 2015, starting October, you start to buy more in margin. Okay, so this
Wow.
is October 26th. It seems like
Yeah.
you spend another $120,000 for Tesla,
Right.
This
and you
guy
pick
had
up
money,
about
man.
600 shares. Was it just not enough for you? Like your holdings, you just needed to get more? Like what's going on?
You know what I feel like? I feel like he saw, as I keep saying, he saw an opportunity, but he's like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I feel like, and I know he would have been regretting it a lot more if he didn't make that action, back then, if he didn't go ahead and just keep on increasing, because maybe even, you know what? Maybe even he kind of still regrets a tiny bit. Maybe he had a lot of cash because don't forget he didn't disclose exactly how much he's made, or maybe some of his side hustles that he has or had at the time. So perhaps he had extra cash just chilling there, but he was like, you know what, I don't want to put too much cash at risk. Let me play according to what my salary is and my risk tolerance and whatnot. So perhaps he could have even had a higher net worth, maybe 20 million, you never know. But that would have been amazing, honestly. It would have been awesome.
No, it's just straight up
I'm
greed,
happy for him,
probably.
man. So happy for him.
Man, it was like, I mean, when you find an opportunity like this, you gotta kind of seize it. Like you just.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? What
I
did I
wish I
tell
could
you?
have people feel like, explain to them how I
How
felt.
you
I
felt?
just thought this company was so undervalued. It was insane, and I was
That's how I
right
feel
because
right now.
the longer the base, the bigger the breakout. We knew Tesla moved nowhere for 5 years. It should have been following a nice, smooth, early S-curve exponential, like it should have. And it wasn't. It was just flat. And I knew that it was worth way more. And I just, yeah, I mean, I just tried to get my hands on as many shares as I could, and I did it kind of recklessly with margin.
Okay. So let's
Yeah.
let's continue this whole margin story. So this is actually fun for me because
I'm telling you.
no, I totally feel because actually I remember I remember Tesla history very very well because it carries a lot of emotions for me, the stock and the company. But I understand like why you would do what you're doing at this point. So April
Maybe
2016.
Dave should give us like a, I don't know if he has it on his channel, because I just came across Dave not too long ago from Stephen Mark Ryan's channel. He mentioned him and then he interviewed Stephen Mark Ryan. But maybe it should be worth Dave doing like a story, like, you know, a background of how he got started with investing, his Tesla journey, and like a in-depth video basically, or in-depth interview of himself, of Dave himself. Or I would love to interview Dave as well. I don't think, maybe I might not have all the knowledge, because Dave seems like his knowledge is on point, man. So that's what I'm saying. You guys definitely go subscribe. But yeah, you never know what the future holds. If you happen to watch this, Dave, then yeah, you already know what to do. I've just seen a Twitter notification and I thought it was Stephen Mark Ryan. Well, guess what, guys? It's not. He left me hanging, and I'm not happy about that. But I'm just gonna carry on watch this video.
80,000 in margin. April 12th, 2016, you do another 80,000 in margin.
Wow.
And then, so now you've got a few $100,000 in margin. You're racking up the margin basically, right? Probably what, I'm not sure. There's a lot of figures here, but 250, 300,000 or something around that in margin. Like, how do you feel about that, holding that much more margin at this time?
Yeah, I mean, it was, so I didn't know how dangerous the situation had become. I didn't know how close I was to getting margin called. I was just naive. Like, I really didn't, you know, if I hadn't used margin, I would have had 3,355 shares, or about, I don't know, multiply that by 5, right? That's how many shares I would have today. Probably something like, you know, 17,000 shares, maybe 18,000. If I'd never touched margin, that's how many shares I would have today. But 18,000, you'll say. But right now I only have 14,850. So I lost a couple of $1,000s in real equity by just getting it over my head with margin.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, the highest number of shares I owned was around 27,000 shares. 10,000 of those, I'm using all split adjusted numbers here, but 10,000 of those shares were borrowed on margin. I lost all of those shares. And then I lost another 2,000 that I owned outright before, just to cover the losses.
Wow. If you're finding value in this, guys, smash that like button. I feel like this is one of the greatest interviews I've ever watched, especially being all in on Tesla, like you guys already know I am. But back to it.
So, but what's going on in my head? I just thought that, you know, Tesla would eventually break out. I just didn't know I was like 4 years too early.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah,
it's funny because like during that time I went into margin, exercising a bunch of leaps, but I actually first, I don't know what it was. It's so fun, interesting watching your story too, because for me I understood margin, like I understood like the risks. So I was like, I always kept it like it was well under 10%, and I never was at risk of a margin call, because I was just like, and I was trying to pay it off as soon as possible. It's like, that was like my focus, you know, just
you were smarter than me. I think I was like 30%.
Yeah.
I think I was just close to the maximum. I wasn't quite at the max, but I was like, I think, and also they doubled my margin maintenance at the worst possible time, you know, after the funding was secured, 420 tweets. My margin maintenance went from like 30% to 60%, like overnight.
Yeah.
I've never used margin, so I can't really relate. But
my lazy mental model,
all we know is dangerous. Let me know in the comment section if you've used margin.
Yeah. So
yeah. That's one of the things that scared me about margin, because I knew they could change it like anytime, you know. Yeah. And you just have to pay up. You have no choice. Exactly. Let's go into that. So you buy more margin in 2016, 2017. You start doubling down on margin here. So June 2017, $230,000 purchase on margin, 650 shares. July 2017, $100,000, 109,000. So you're expecting a breakout, huh? You're thinking Tesla's like, gonna go to the moon. I've got to get my last shares in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, I mean, the Model 3 ramp was going on, and I just didn't realize how many problems they were facing. I just like, if they had succeeded in the Model 3 ramp, if it probably would have worked out, but they had over automation, and they had the conveyor belt situation, and so it ended up being, I was margin called.
Yeah. So let's go into 2018. Sorry for like,
Damn.
it's because I commiserate with you. Okay, this is all fascinating to me. May 2018, you do 60,000 in margin again. So you're not selling anything right now. You're just adding on to your margin. I'm guessing, right? August 6th, 2018. August or May 2018 was 60,000. August 2018 was 150,000. And then August 17th, 2018 was another 100,000. So you rack up another 300,000 in margin in 2018 because you're just like, this is the last opportunity I'm ever going to have before Tesla just goes crazy.
Price up.
I've got to,
to the moon and
get
back.
my shares.
I was too early. I was 2 or 3 years, 4 years too early. Yeah.
And then it starts to unravel. So October 9th and 10th, you got a margin call. And so you're having to sell it, right? I have $600,000 to $700,000 worth of Tesla stock. It seems like, to pay off your margin. Actually closer to 700,000. So you're selling a bunch of stuff. Like, what happened? So you rack up all this margin. I guess it's pretty evident, right? You rack up all this margin, and then the brokerage. What brokerage were you at this time?
Fidelity.
Fidelity.
So they increased the margin maintenance requirements for what, 30% to 60%, and you're like, what in the world, right?
Yeah.
You're like at the worst possible time, right?
It's funny because I remember I was on the phone call. I was on a call with one of the service reps on Fidelity one day, and I was like, I had some questions about margin, and they were like,
my phone just flashed. Ah, no. I thought it was Stephen Mark Ryan. Once more, it's not. Thanks for ignoring me.
I should not have. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't trust a brokerage. Don't trust anybody you talk to on the phone. Don't borrow. Like, I would just don't borrow on margin to buy securities. Like, don't do it. I mean, anybody watching, like, just make sure I'm borrowing on margin right now to kind of live off of for retirement, but I'm only borrowing up to like 8% max.
Sure.
And that's what I'm comfortable with. But it's just a dangerous game. I would just try to avoid. Unless you're buying puts or whatever, there are ways to avoid.
So how painful? Like, if you don't want to, dive into the painfulness, that's fine. But how painful exactly is this? I mean, you have years and years of like thinking, my gosh, Tesla's gonna break out. I'm gonna double down. Borrow more money.
What was his mindset like?
I'm gonna hold all these shares. I'll pay off, my shares later. Pay off my margin as it just goes crazy later. But it just turns all against you, right? I mean, is your world like falling apart in some ways with Tesla stock?
It was I got crushed. Like, I thought I was going to lose everything at a few points during this.
Oh, wow. He thought he was going to lose everything.
To Q1 2019. I think I had 6 margin calls. The largest one was for like $130,000. I mean, the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. It's kind of like, it was tough. I mein, also I had, I wasn't really my job was also difficult at the time. I had a really kind of, I didn't really have the best job at the time. And that combined with like possibly losing everything.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
It was hard. Wake up 2 or 3 in the morning and I would have this like pain in my chest and I couldn't go back to sleep. So there were many nights where I just got 2 or 3 hours of sleep if I was lucky.
Damn, it was serious.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
Let me know in the comment section, how would you feel?
So, what were the emotions? Curious.
Yeah, that's it.
Fear? Was it anger? Was it frustration?
Disappointment?
It was more of like
anxiety.
Maybe like.
What if I'm wrong?
I tried not to feel anything. Luckily I didn't turn to any substances or anything, but I just kind of
Damn.
like just tried to get through it. I tried not to think about it. Um, you know, just kind of feeling very empty
Numb.
and just sad. But I tried to hide it. I was dating a girl at the time that I didn't tell her any of this. I didn't tell her what was going on, and I was actually able to hide it. She didn't know. She had
Wow.
no idea.
Wow.
Uh, Even my coworkers didn't know. It was just all, I was able to just
Internal.
keep from avoid externalizing it.
I think maybe that could have also helped him out, because imagine telling either your girlfriend or people close to you, they might start, pushing you towards or doing something that you would most likely regret. And imagine if he told his girlfriend and then the girlfriend was like, no, you know what, just sell all your shares, and, made him do something silly. He would be regretting it so much. I'm pretty much sure he would have turned to, like, substance abuse and just maybe drinking or like whatever it is. You never know. Some people, even things like that pushes them to jump off a bridge. I'm telling you guys, it's deep out here. So this, once
Um,
more, best interview
Luckily,
ever.
so it's like, um, yeah, it was just all. I kept it all in.
Mm.
Uh, yeah.
Um, when some of this stuff started to unravel in 2018 with Tesla as a company, like, so you have, Tesla pushing out their production, estimates, the ramp is not going too well. Then you go into kind of the pedo tweet, and then you go into
Yeah.
420 and SEC. Like, what's going on? Like, are you just like over it all, or are you following this? Like what's happening?
Yeah. Everything. Um, yeah. Actually, I was really angry with the media and the SEC and all the fudsters. It became almost like personal to me. Like I was like so pissed off at how Elon was being treated, how Tesla was being treated, all the
I could
employees, what are they
imagine.
going through? Like I actually was just, I mean, I don't know if I might, I, like, I felt like Tesla had to succeed. Like it just had to. And in a world, I kind of almost like living in a world where Tesla couldn't succeed because of whatever reason, whatever
Wow.
manipulation, lies,
Yep.
greed, the oil industry, whatever they were up to no good, like I just, I feel like that was so wrong. Like it just, to me, it was like a fight. Like I just felt like I was in the trenches with Elon almost, but even though I was not, I'm just a small retail investor, but I just felt like I was fighting, like I couldn't sell my shares. I was in this war, in this battle against just evil,
He
like
said I
really
was in the
evil
trenches with
forces,
Elon
right?
Musk.
Trying to kill this amazing company that is going to clean up the air at the very least. Whether or
Wow.
not you agree with global warming, at least we'll be able to breathe cleaner air. Like that's. I just like, why would you be against that? Why is anybody rooting against
Against that,
Elon and Tesla?
true, it didn't make, yeah,
It
it
became
wouldn't make
emotional for
sense.
me. I was like, I wanted this company to succeed.
So bad.
If I was in it just for the money, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to hold on or cope with this at all. So,
Makes
it's
sense.
like going to battle, right? It's like you can't really understanding that you could die in the battlefield. Like you have to be prepared to go all in. You have to be prepared to die in the battlefield to win a battle. That's
I
maybe a
like
little
it
bit,
extreme, but I
you
love the
know,
mentality.
that I wasn't really in a battle, but it was just that's how I felt. It was a fight.
When you were kind of had moments where you thought maybe you could lose your entire Tesla investment,
Yeah,
did that scare you, or how did you process that?
yeah, definitely. It scared me, but I thought like maybe uh, probably wouldn't didn't scare me as much as would scare most people because I didn't have a family. I have lived below my means for years, um, and um, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll give you an example of how I experimented with detachment and being, you know, not being too attached to having a nice lifestyle or having a lot of
Okay,
things.
I'm curious. What?
Um, I actually, so there was a point in my life where I decided, I was paying a lot in rent. Why am I paying all this money in rent? I'll just sleep in my car and see how that goes. I ended up deciding to stay in my Tesla, and I slept in my Tesla for a few weeks.
That's sick.
And then so I stayed in my Tesla, and I realized, wow, I'm getting some of the best night's sleep I've ever had in my freaking Tesla. So I ended up just parking my Tesla.
You have to salute that, man. The grind is amazing. Bear in mind, he's got all of these shares of Tesla. And let's not forget, he's working at Google, so his income is really, really good. I salute that. A lot of people might see that as like, whoa, that's a bit weird. Why would you sleep in your car when you don't need to? But I salute that, man, 1,000%. It's literally what I'm trying to go through right now. Just trying to cleanse my mind, because I know I'm going to be very, very wealthy in the future, and I'm working towards it. So I'm not just those kind of people, yeah, in the future I'm going to be rich, and then they're not doing anything towards that. I'm actually working extremely hard towards that. So I do similar things, Sometimes I'll get into it later so you don't go off on a tangent, but I've done plenty of things that you're gonna be shocked.
And I slept there for 6 freaking months.
Are you serious?
I saved $15,000 in rent and deposit and everything. Took all those savings and bought Tesla stock. And that is worth 400K right now.
Wow.
So what the heck did I just hear? My ears, nothing is coming, is entering here, is going out here. Like, my brain is struggling to process that. My guy said he had 15,000, excuse me for clapping. He had 15,000 pounds. Let's just hear that again. To 400, what? 400 grand? Baby, you're my lady.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll give you an example of how I experimented.
Oh my God.
And not being
that is
not
awesome.
being too attached to having a nice lifestyle or having a lot of things. So there was a point in my life where I decided, I was paying a lot in rent. Why am I paying all this money in rent? I'll just, sleep in my car and see how that goes. I ended up deciding to stay in my Tesla, and I slept in my Tesla for a few weeks. And then so I stayed in my Tesla, and I realized, wow, I'm getting some of the best night's sleep I've ever had in my freaking Tesla.
Wow.
So I ended up just parking my Tesla in the Google parking lot, and I slept there for 6 freaking months.
Wow.
I saved $15,000 in rent and deposit.
I love this guy.
Took all those savings and bought Tesla stock. And that is worth 400K right now.
Wow.
So it was like just that, little bit of savings, I was able to
get in there, son. Just that
worth millions, right? Just that one decision.
Just that tiny 15 grand. My head is itchy.
Sure.
I got itchy head because of that.
I had no social life during that time. But
that is powerful.
Google had free food. We had laundry. We had free haircuts, free dental, gyms, showers. Everything was there. Like, why do you even need to pay 2 or 3 G's a month to rent an apartment?
Oh my God, Jason!
I was working 12 hours a day, so I just needed a place to sleep. And I just said, okay, I'll just, stick a mattress in my car and do that. So. Oh
my days, Jason! That is music to my ears. That's the kind of person that I am, and I've always wanted to be. Like, where you're just free, and where, let me clarify as to why I'm getting so excited. I just want to be that person where I want to be in control of my time. That's why I'm documenting everything for you guys, going from 0 to literally a millionaire and past and beyond, because I want to control my time. I mean, there's a lot of things to me in society, I feel like it just doesn't make sense, you see? So that mindset is what I have and what I've adopted now, and my background is quite gruesome, and I had to learn English as well. You see what I mean? So I come from Africa, but look, there's a time where I'm going to make a video and just break everything down, so you guys stay tuned for that. If you're finding value in this video, guys, smash that like button. As I said from the beginning, this is one of the best interviews I've ever watched so far, especially where I'm going right now, in my journey with Tesla, and where this is goals. This is goals right now. Thank you so much, Dave Lee, and you guys go subscribe to him as well. This is
And
awesome.
it
I'm
worked
so happy I
out. I
watched
mean,
this.
I didn't think I was going to do that for as long as I did, but it,
6
I was able
months,
to, yeah, I mean, like I said, turn $15,000 to $400K right now, and that could be worth in 10 years
$1 million
$4
plus.
million
Sure.
or more.
When was that period where you slept in your car for 6 months in the parking lot of Google?
That was in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere, maybe 2016. I think, no, it was
Wow.
15.
Yeah.
Early 2016. I think that was it.
Jason, if you create a
Yeah.
YouTube channel, we have to
I remember
collab.
doing it in the summer. It was like, yeah, I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like, actually, could you move your camera a little bit center?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, because like
So he's in
Google
the
is the
center.
place to do it at if you're gonna do it because
Yeah.
they've got all the amenities, like
Yeah.
like
No, I mean, they even had an
Yeah.
internal, there's an internal web page that somebody wrote called Living at Google. And it talked about how to do
This
it.
is
And there was like,
amazing.
like literally there were like probably dozens and dozens, or maybe even a couple hundred people doing this.
really wow.
This document, I'd love to be able to read this at some point, but it talked about which couches to sleep on, and it talked about if you're going to live in a van, here are the parking lots to stay. Here are the parking.
Oh my, I need to work for Google right now. All right. I'm just going to quit YouTube. All right. I'm just going to stop it and then just go work at Google because goodness me, it's literally Google that funded Jason's portfolio, because obviously the income was coming from Google. He then used this smart brain, and it's really just a high level of conviction. He saw where the company is going, and the funny thing is, we're still at the beginning. We're not even at the end of Tesla. The Tesla train of success is still moving. In fact, it's picking up speed as we go. So you best jump on it ASAP. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. Wow.
And here's how to
Guys, if you don't smash that like button,
yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
funny.
Smash that like
The
button.
document was like it was almost like a joke, but actually it was a legitimate guide on how to do it.
Wow.
And I knew one guy that lived on Google for, they're called G squatters, Google squatters. So there's the G squatter community, and there was a guy that had been there for like 6 years. He just straight up parked an RV, for like 6 years at Google, and he had like a canopy and beach chairs and everything.
His rug.
Yeah, and the dude saved like so much money.
That is crazy.
And, he had a dog and everything. It was hilarious.
Wow.
But
I'm so shocked.
engineer, and guy's probably making $500,000 a year. It's like,
Seriously.
and he's just
Senior
and there was
engineer
also
as well.
There's a mobile home park down the street from Google that apparently all the Googlers bought up all these mobile homes. And so, because it was way cheaper than buying a house. So you would drive through this mobile home park and see like, Teslas and everything. It's like, it's hilarious.
is
That is
great,
so
man.
funny, man. I didn't know that.
I mean, that's something
That's awesome.
I'd love to do. Like,
Thank you.
Personally, I can't, like, it's like my worst nightmare. Not only nightmare, but I just don't like working for an organization or company where I don't feel like I'm in control. Making big decisions. But if I had to, for example, work in a institution like Google, let's say there was an awesome opportunity like Tesla, definitely parking lot all the way, man.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was an experience, right? So that was where I was able to kind of like have a rebirth. Like I realized like I don't need a lot. Everything I had was in that car. And that helped me take more risk because I realized like, hey, if I lose everything, I'll just
Live in my car.
I've done this thing before. I could do that again. I could. I was pretty happy actually during this time. So
that's cool. I mean, like objectively speaking, too. Back then, you're in your early 30s. You've got growing set of skills, right, with software, etc. You've got a good job. So yeah, if your Tesla goes to zero, you still have,
He still has everything.
It probably doesn't make a big difference. I mean, yeah, it makes a difference, but it's something you could, manageably overcome.
He can basically bounce back because he's got everything in his favor. Really, you can't really fail. He's got the best car to have on planet Earth that is very, very cost effective. He's got a great salary. He's got a great job. And he's got a skill that's probably amongst one of the most valuable skills on earth, because we are just moving faster and faster towards technology. So meaning, if you know how to code, how to talk to computers, computer language, Python, Java, C++, I don't know, MySQL, whatever it is, whatever language you want to learn, and you know that, I mean, the demand is just so high right now. Do you see what I mean? So it was a win-win. It was honestly a win-win, and he saw that. I don't even want to say that he didn't see it, but he saw that. So hence to why he did what he did, with the level of conviction that he had and still has, and it worked out for him. I mean, this is an awesome story right here.
Objective
And plus,
reasons.
by the way, quick update: Stephen Mark Ryan, yeah, he let us down. Maybe it was a bad idea. Still, I thought he was gonna join. I don't know what possessed me, but I'm not taking it back. But you never know. The video hasn't ended yet, so maybe he still might join. Let's see. I'll keep you guys updated. Let's on the Stephen Mark Ryan story, solving the money problem. Go subscribe to him. He's awesome. He's truly awesome.
Yeah. So let's move on to 2019. So you get another margin call in April 2019, but only for $15,000. It seems like you sell. So and then you start buying in 2020 for 4 times, but it's not a lot. Probably about 30 or 40,000 in 2020. So that's kind of, it seems like that's kind of your story of your purchases, and surprising. Like on the surface, it seems like you had like a rosy, bought a bunch of Tesla shares, and
Yeah,
it was
true.
like a fun
Very
journey.
surprising. Yeah.
But when I look at this stuff, man, we've got you've got a lot of pain, a
Yeah.
lot of pain in this thing. So, were you able to pay off all your margin then, or what happened? When did that just get wiped clean?
Yeah, so I fully covered my margin, and that was all paid off. So right now I still have a margin debit balance, but that was like a new margin that I opened, and I used that to pay for part of the down payment for this house. So I actually just bought a house, and I love it. It's just like, this house is amazing, and it's got an amazing view of LA. It's just, I couldn't be happier, right? Like all this pain that I went through has worked out, and so I have a plan for the future, and I'm going to try to stay skilled and acquire more skills or remain skilled. So if I do have to go back to work, I'll just go back to work. And I don't want to sell my Tesla shares. I'll just be hanging on to my shares, because even today I still
Generational wealth.
maintain a super high level of conviction. I think that right now Tesla's valued at $800 and something a share. I think it's worth $4,000 a share. I think it's just the amount of runway ahead of Tesla is so.
This, guys, is why I keep telling you guys, although I'm doing some research into some of these stocks and here and then, I'm just buying to flip for maybe some swing trades, all right, to build some profit and then dump into Tesla. That's the whole idea. But my main plan to become a millionaire, or one of my major strategies, is to use Tesla's success and join on the train of success and just go with it. So I'm going to be building some serious cash and then reinvesting it or investing it into Tesla. All right, I've just given you my secret plan. Life hacks.
There's just, it's almost like, I don't know if you want to get into this, but I could make a case that Tesla is like the new Standard Oil, but with software margins, right? So like, what if John D. Rockefeller had software back, when he ran Standard Oil, which became Exxon, Mobil, BP, and Shell and Chevron. All those companies were eventually, 100 years ago, Standard Oil was broken up because of antitrust into 34 different oil companies, and all of those companies became the largest companies in the world, right? So and he became the wealthiest. Rockefeller became the wealthiest man in history, and remains the wealthiest man to have ever lived. He would be worth $400 billion today, and I think that Elon Musk could make John D. Rockefeller look like a pauper.
I have my notes. I want to talk about some valuation
Some
stuff too.
chilling
Um,
information.
Definitely.
We're getting right
Lots of
here, baby.
actually, I have a lot of stuff to dive into. So it depends on your
Yeah,
time. I hope you
baby.
have some flexibility. If I go over, just let me know that you need to go.
Oh
So
wow,
when
this is
did you like
awesome.
when is was it at the margin calls like that? I guess April 2019, your last margin call, where you said, "Forget it, I'm just paying everything off," or when did you just close like your your history with your kind of margin?
Um, that was probably, mm, let's see, I think after the, um, actually, I don't know. I've had a zero balance for a long time, for a
Okay,
couple years, I think. So maybe 2016 is when I closed it out, or 2000, no,
or
sorry,
18,
2019. Sorry,
19. Okay,
2019.
okay,
Um, so, but I had a zero margin balance for I think at least a year, and I
okay.
just opened it up again
Mm,
to finance part of my down payment for my house.
got
So,
it. Um, yeah, so it's interesting, I guess your experience. I think it's a great. I mean, it's a great lesson because it's what happened, and you made certain choices, and the interesting thing is, I think it should have worked out, and like without the Model 3 ramp difficulties,
right.
like you
Yeah.
should have a lot more shares than like
Yeah.
because but it's just that fluke of it's just so
Yeah.
hard to. I mean, you can't predict everything. um
Yeah.
yeah, so but I guess in some ways you're lucky that you came out still with
On top.
the shares
Yeah.
that you have, right?
Hmm.
um
Definitely.
yeah, but almost 15,000 at least. um
Hmm.
so I'm curious, I guess when you look back at your kind of Tesla investing, would you have, I guess, like how have those lessons shaped you and changed your thinking with investing in the future? The whole combination of, I guess, finding a Tesla, um, perhaps seeing that it came to fruition, but in a
Uh-huh.
different way than you thought. Maybe the path would happen, and
Yeah.
it was more painful than you thought. But like, how does that affect your view on Jason DeBolt investing approach now versus, let's say, 7 or 8 years ago, or 7 years ago when you first started with Tesla?
Yeah. So I can definitely handle losses much easier. Like, in September 8th of last year, I think I lost $1.3 million
Oh
in one
my.
day just from that 22% or 21% drop in Tesla that one day.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel anything. I mean,
Nice.
maybe a little bit of a sting, but it was like, I didn't, like, for me, it was like,
It'll go back
I
up.
mean, I don't know, like losing, I already had many millions of dollars at that point, so maybe that was part of it,
Yeah.
But because if I were to take a 20% loss, if I only had a few $1,000s, that's painful because I understand compounding. And if you take away that initial principal, the overall effect of that is massive. So, but yeah, just developing a stronger stomach, right? Like I've
Mm.
just been holding on to Tesla for years. I know quite a bit about the company, and so I'm able to handle just huge swings without really feeling much.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's one thing. That's how I'm different today than when I was,
Before.
back then.
You
And
know what? I wasn't going to watch the whole interview, but it's so interesting. I was like, I might as well just watch the like. Obviously, you're gonna have to watch the original if you do want to, because I've been skipping a few as we're going. But it's just so interesting, and I'm going to be in that position, okay, in that situation. So I'm taking all the tips I can take and learning whatever I can learn, because I honestly believe the potential for Tesla right now is just astronomical. It's disgusting. It's amazing. It's ridiculous.
I've kind of been,
So,
I know a little bit more about margin, right? So I'm very
yeah,
cautious with
you
margin
had to
now.
learn the hard way.
So a little bit more risk averse when it comes to borrowing, for, but I'm still strong. I have a high amount of conviction with Tesla. I feel like um, I've kind of shaped my life around either accumulating as many shares as possible, holding on to them, and just not selling. Even right now, I'm retired, but if something bad were to happen, I would go back to work,
Buy
so I
it.
wouldn't have to sell my shares. So I'm prioritizing holding
Okay.
on to Tesla over my retirement, which is kind of unthinkable for people.
It
But for me, it's
is,
like
but for me, it makes
that's the
sense.
obvious thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Especially after making it through, what you've been through. Um,
yeah.
yeah. What's your exit plan? Do you have an exit plan? Like
It's
do you
changed.
just, okay, so do you just hold on to these Tesla shares for the rest of your life? Like, what do you do? Like, or do you sell at some point? What makes you sell? Do you have certain scenarios that could happen
Now,
that could,
this is the interesting part.
Yeah, so I think
I
at some
hold on
point
for life.
Elon won't be as important to the success of the company. I think right now he's still critically important, but maybe in 5 years from now, it'll just there'll be so many people involved, and I think there'll be a point at which Elon can step away, and even then, I would still hold on to the shares most likely, as long as they continue to continue
Innovate.
innovating. I would hold on to the shares. Once they slow down their pace of innovation, even if their financials look pretty solid, I'll probably consider selling some, but I don't think that'll happen um,
Anytime
anytime
soon.
soon.
There we go.
And this goes back to like the Standard Oil thesis that I have. It's not really a thesis, but it's just like I had this. I really think that people are still just misunderstanding Tesla, even after this run up. I just feel like this is just massively disruptive, even if you're just talking about batteries.
um,
Yeah.
so let's go to
Wow.
valuation a bit. So I
Wow.
know you've stated that you think a Tesla, you think it's worth $3,500 per share, present day value or so. Um, can you unpack that for me? Like, what do you mean by that? And I guess I'll give some pushback here. Aren't
Yeah.
there execution risks involved? And shouldn't those risks be, discounted sizably, in a sense?
Yeah.
Because what if something happens? Like some big things happen that whenever I talk about certain big things happen, I always get backlash because
Yeah.
people don't want to think about
Yeah.
those big things happening. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
guys. It's like, this is reality. This is like, certain things happen in life, right? And, I mean, so yeah, there's execution risk. So how is Tesla, in your mind, valued like, so much higher than present day value?
Yeah. So if you look at the top 10 kind of top 10 companies in the world and you rank them by revenue, 8 of those top 10 are going to be in
Oil, tech.
energy or
Yeah,
oil,
yeah, yeah.
mostly
Uh-huh.
oil and automotive and
Uh-huh.
transportation.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so Tesla's going to displace a lot of that revenue. And then 2 of those 10 are in retail, so Walmart and Amazon. So Walmart and Amazon are huge. I mean, those are just 2 of the top 10. They're not even the top of those 10. And those are retail. It's massive. Like so these revenue streams are ridiculous. And Tesla's going to create new businesses as well. So if you just look at the overall revenue and you assume some higher margins from software, it's just, I just feel like we've never seen a company like Tesla. So we have to
Very
discard
true.
throw out a lot of our thinking around what a company should be worth. There's, yeah. So I think a lot of it is just looking at. I'm not really a fan of reasoning by analogy, and I know that comparing it to Standard Oil is a form of kind of reasoning by analogy. But if you're going to do it, at least do it in the best way you can. In the closest way, the most accurate example that you can. And one thing that
Wow.
John D. Rockefeller did was he was heavy on reducing costs, cutting costs, and Tesla and Elon
Is
are
the on track.
they're working on that. I mean, they're constantly trying to cut costs and improve their margins. One example that Rockefeller did was he used to transport the oil in barrels, and barrels were the big component of cost. And he ended up buying forest land and growing trees and actually putting the wood through a kiln to dry the barrels to reduce the weight of the barrels so they could transport, so there would be lower weight when he transported the barrels on trains. So he was working on just cutting costs and also doing vertical integration by not outsourcing the production of the barrels, but building his own barrels. And I just see the similar mindset to what Elon Musk is doing with reducing cost. And I
I
just don't.
mean, or 1,000. I think Jason is completely right on that. Especially just the gigafactories that they're building, which are machines that can build machines, right? And always, Elon Musk, you hear him say he thinks of these warehouses or these giga factories as products themselves. All right, so not something necessarily that you would buy, that from a shop. Oh, I want to buy the Tesla a robot arm, but a product for them. So meaning each costs like about 1 billion or so, and they're just thinking, how can we just streamline this? So it's like it's like the best product there is that makes cars, but they own it. So I can only imagine if Tesla was to start selling factories like Tesla factories. I don't know, maybe some form of I don't know, not even franchise, but like they just started selling these factories. Okay, cool. To a new company or a new startup that's starting up. Here it is. Here's our factory. If you want to buy, it's going to cost you X amount, and this factory will 1,000% produce millions of cars compared to 5 factories because they keep streamlining, they keep improving everything. It's even down to the factory level. So I think Jason is
We have
definitely
many
right on
business
that.
leaders that are willing to take the risks that Elon is taking to reduce costs and to really focus on like rights law and economies of scale. So yeah, I mean I don't have like a detailed financial model that could explain what my current valuation is. There are people that can do a lot better than me, a lot more accurate than me. What I do is I use my gut, and I just think that what I see in Elon and what I see in Tesla is something that I don't think we have anything in recent history that compares. Like there's just no, like I said, even Standard Oil, like it's not even close. Yeah, I mean, I think
Powerful stuff here, man.
just a few years ago, Tesla was worth less than Uber, and just now they just passed Facebook, which is a site that honestly I could care less about, and I've never given any money to Facebook. And I think it's like, and yeah, I mean, there's how many internal combustion engines in the world? There's like 2 billion. Um, how many trillions are in the energy grid and energy our power grid and energy? Like those are massive markets, and Tesla's just going to
Destroy
disrupt
all of
all of
them.
that. So
Yep.
yeah, if you just look at the addressable market, I mean, there's so much revenue that they're going to displace. Yeah.
I'm so excited. The future
Got
looks
it.
bright.
Were you ever tempted to kind of try to get a job at Tesla to get like stock options or something?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I applied 2016, but I couldn't even get an interview. So yeah,
Wow.
that was yeah. I mean, yeah, I would. I think at the time I was hoping to get an interview. I did get pretty far in the interview process with SpaceX, but with Tesla, I guess I just wasn't a good fit for that particular role that I applied for. But they're hiring the best. I mean, Tesla and SpaceX have access to some of the best engineers,
In the
and they know
world.
how to use them. They know how to utilize them,
Yeah.
which is even more important. Um, a
Yeah.
lot of big tech companies don't really know how to utilize their engineers. There are a lot of people that they hire the best. I think Chamath has talked about this a lot, where if you have all the money in the world and you own a sports team, you own a basketball team, um, you're just gonna like buy all the best players and then put them on the bench, right? Like you can, because you can afford that, and that's what's going on with Google,
Yeah.
and a lot of tech companies. They're just hiring these incredibly talented people, and they're just sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Whereas Tesla really everyone is accountable. People are working on the right projects. There's a lot of growth, and there's a huge appetite for risk taking. So they're just utilizing their engineers a lot better,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. In some ways, I feel like what separates Tesla and SpaceX, like Elon's companies, from a lot of these other tech companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, etc.,
Yeah.
is like Elon knows how to make these engineers and smart people very uncomfortable. Like for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
like I know quite a few
Yeah.
Googlers or ex-Googlers, and visiting Google and hanging out with some people. It's like there's a sense at Google, like the culture, and this is just my personal observation. I could be wrong, but there's a sense at Google that like everyone here is really smart. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that's like the priority. We are going to
Yeah.
hire smart people, and so the whole thing is like you as a Googler, you feel that sense of
That you're smart
pride that you're amongst the smartest people,
in the
like
world,
in
yeah.
almost the
Yeah.
world, basically, right? You were chosen as, you know,
Yeah.
one of the smartest. And what a privilege
Chosen.
it is
Yeah.
to work at such a smart company with so many smart people, right? I hear
Right.
that a
Right.
lot, right? From Googlers. And and you have a lot of like PhDs and, you know, masters is like basically almost nothing. It's just like the accomplishments are just like amazing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a sense of like of I wouldn't say complacency in a way because Google
Oh, big time.
they do.
You're right on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that, but they do
Wow.
push certain goals, but it's different than the goals of Elon. For example, Elon's
Tesla, yeah.
goals, they mean something. Like they have Earth and universe like
Yeah.
impact, like lives and history shaping stuff. It's not so much like, hey, we need to hit a KPI. We got to get like 5% more, you know, users or
Yeah.
more revenue, or you know, we've got to
Yeah.
increase engagement. Or it's not like it's not that
Yeah.
type of goal Elon's after. Elon's after like,
best
hey,
interview
you know,
ever.
our planet's hurting. We have to speed this up, or else, you know.
Yeah.
And it's this whole like unknown of whether that goal is going to be met or not, and everyone has to play a role to try to make it work.
You know what? If Dave is watching this, I feel like this is my take on it. I feel like it's like the best YouTube video ever. Okay, because it's like better than Mr. Beast's videos, all of these videos with high engagement. Okay, this is if you want to, and I know Dave would relate along with anyone else who's a YouTuber, knowing your back end is everything. This is like the best video it took you 6-7 months to produce this video. You know that the engagement is going to be high. The best editors, it took everything. The storyline in the video was amazing. It grabbed people, it hooked people. So therefore, you can't really anticipate. It's like Eric, some of Eric's videos that he's doing. If he's a YouTuber, Google him or YouTube it. But it's like there's a story, and then you just don't know what's going to happen. Is it gonna? But you kind of know that it's going to be like the hero is always going to win at the end of the movie, right? So you kind of know, but midway through the movie, you're always like, what's going to happen? Are they really going to succeed? Like, you know, oh, is he going to die in hospital or not? Like, it's like that. You know, Tesla is like, it's like a roller coaster. It's like the best YouTube video that's ever been produced with the highest engagement there is. That's just what, you know, that's just what popped up in my head, and I'm saying it out there. But if you can relate, or if you understand what I'm talking about, then I want you to comment that in the comment section down below. Tesla is like the best or the highest. No, Tesla is, let me think about. Okay, comment Tesla is the best YouTube video produced ever. Tesla is the best YouTube video. All right, we'll keep it short. Tesla is the best YouTube video. It will let me know you watched all the way up until this point. But back into the video.
And it's that sense of unknown uncomfortableness that every engineer is stuck into, and there's no time to say, oh, look how smart we are in this company.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
We feel
yeah.
so good. There's no time for that, you know, in Elon's companies.
There's no chill.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's so different. What's your experience? I mean, I'm sure you have a better sense, you know, working, you know, at some of these companies.
Dude, this could be an entire series of,
Amazing.
of episodes. I mean, yeah, like Google's a peacetime company. It always has been. Whereas companies like Amazon and Tesla and SpaceX, those are
Pushing
wartime
boundaries.
companies. These are companies that have been pushed into a corner, and whoever is working at these companies has had to fight for their survival. Like, I mean, like Google basically had a monopoly with search. They had an incredible product, and then they were able to add, you know, to introduce the ads business, the AdWords business on top of Google, an incredible revenue machine. And basically all the hard work was done in like the late 90s and early 2000s, and they've just been riding this revenue for years and years and years. So this is going to sound a little bit more negative on the Google side, and Google does hire some of the best, some of the best people I've ever worked with. There were times where on the team, some of the teams I was on at Google, there would be like 20, 40 engineers. I literally thought I was like the dumbest person on,
I can imagine.
on those teams, and literally the least educated too. But I had the same role, the same title, the same job level and everything. Somehow I got into these teams without having any CS degree or anything. And
Wow.
and it was doing pretty well. But like, I just felt like dude, these people are so much smarter than me. And I mean, they were like, you're talking about the PhDs, statisticians and stuff like that. They had, you know, I remember going to a talk where they were talking about where the statisticians, they have this giant team of statisticians that are working on.
Guys, I legit just thought I just had a tweet right there, but clearly, yeah, it's not Stephen Mark Ryan. Even though he just tweeted something right now, but yeah, he aired me, man. He aired me. Meaning, he most likely saw and ignored it. Like, anyways, back into the video.
On the placement of,
I'm gonna add him on the title. I swear down. I don't even care.
Sizes and font colors, and they're doing like
Stephen
tons
Mark
of
Ryan
experiments on
ignored
just
me,
running
solving the money problem.
Bayesian analysis on like which font types and which colors will incrementally drive up ad revenue, right? And so you have these incredibly talented people just working on like font sizes and colors and how to just squeeze out a little bit more revenue. And I just think that's kind of sad. And you know, like I said, a lot of the hard work was done, and people that are hired at these companies don't really add a lot of value. This is a very controversial opinion, but whereas at Amazon, so Bezos and Musk are very similar in that they're both like ruthless, like they just cut the crap, and they understand how to be more efficient, how to leverage their engineers. Like Bezos wrote a famous memo on like how they need to move towards microservices and use APIs in the early 2000s. He literally like threatened people with their jobs. Like, you're going to be fired if you don't expose an API in your team. And he wrote this incredible memo. And that's like, that kind of leadership is how you scale companies like Amazon and Tesla. Is you have to really hold people accountable and demand like massive change and innovation. And if people aren't doing that, you fire them, right? And Elon fires people, Bezos fires people. I just don't see that kind of thing happening at a lot of other tech companies that are cushy and academic, and people just, you know, like there's a movie called The Internship, maybe 2012, 2013 with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. Yeah, so this company was like, I mean, there's a movie about how it's just like, it was a comedy, but they filmed this movie on the Google campus. I was actually in the movie as an extra, and they presented Google as this like amazing place to work, super fun, everyone's young and attractive, and it's just like college part 2, right? And that's kind of like what it was. That like wasn't far off. I mean, in that movie they did, you know, almost everybody in that movie was a Googler, right? So, and
Googler,
you know, it was,
what a name.
These are really comfortable places to work, but they're just not quite as innovative as you would.
They're not pushing boundaries.
Led to believe.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I'd like to hear your experience in this, like talking to like some really smart people, like so-called smart people, and they are smart in their fields, like some amazingly smart people. Like, I'm actually surprised at how like sharp they are in certain areas. It's just like, whoa, are you serious? And talking to and knowing these people, and I'm friends with some of them too, and they're great people in different ways. It kind of though gives me a sense of, with investing, that it's not as big as an advantage to be so-called smart by society in terms of the degrees, and let's say you can solve the craziest, you know, coding problem.
Yes.
You could be a crazy statistician or AI expert. It doesn't necessarily transfer over to investing.
Yes, you're right.
That realization, or just seeing that over and over, like it's just.
And sometimes, hold on, let me just jump in. And sometimes I feel like it actually works against you sometimes when you're too smart, because you just overdo everything. Like, you're looking into it. Oh, well, how about this level of detail like that? That's why I feel like a lot of people are missing out on the Tesla opportunity. Even till today, they feel like it's done because, their financials don't make sense. Or this, I don't quite see this. The numbers didn't add up. It's like, whoa. If you don't see the bigger picture, my friend, you're going to be so focused in that tiny section where you're trying to analyze all the details, and instead of zooming out like a camera lens does to be able to see the full picture, you're going to miss it. So I 1000% agree with Dave.
Interesting to me, you know?
And Jason.
And it doesn't even transfer over to building. it doesn't. It just means
True.
you're good at taking tests and presenting yourself as being smart or knowledgeable. But like as far as building things and even investing, like you don't need a college degree. You don't need to be super.
Low barrier
Yeah,
for
I mean,
entry. I love it. I love it.
you don't
Investing's
need to
my
be a
thing.
genius or a PhD. I mean, look at the founders of say YouTube, right? I don't think those guys had PhDs, and or like, I mean, it can certainly help, but it's not a requirement. But yeah, I think in some ways it's kind of like a um, I don't know, contraindicator. Like if you're too good with finance, you may have missed out on
Yeah.
Tesla completely, right?
Yes. I just said
If
it. I
you
just
if
said
you
it.
just looked at the financials and didn't really drive the car, or if you were overconfident in your ability to analyze businesses, you may have missed out on Tesla. So
Very
Yeah,
true.
like I have this one theory. I mean, this one idea just this past like today and yesterday I was thinking about was that sometimes when you're like let's say so smart in some area, um, let's say you're just some crazy, technical nerd geek on
yeah,
something technical. Um, Sometimes you start to apply that approach to think that you can understand other things the same way that you
You
understood,
understand?
let's say, your
Thank
technical
you,
field.
Dave.
And
yeah,
sometimes it works, but sometimes it's like
The
doesn't
opposite.
work at all. And I think sometimes you need like more of a multidisciplinary, kind of a well-rounded
yeah,
approach in order
yep,
to understand certain things that are more complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
yeah,
that's where what
exactly,
trips up some super smart people.
Yeah.
yeah,
And like for example, with a car, like with your early experience, you noted like, hey, you had cars in your history. Um, like you can't just look at a car, I think, like in one angle. Like it helps in a sense to understand cars from different angles. And when you see a car that's
mhm,
going to, end all cars, like it's more clear to you because it's not just
yeah,
from one slight angle.
Angle.
You
Yep.
appreciate different things about, let's say the whole experience. But
But yeah, that's multiple perspectives though, because he could have viewed it. Oh well, the interior is not actually that great. Maybe this will fall apart because it's not built to the level of quality that I've seen. Porsches, Porsche, even a Porsche Cayenne is built. The interior is amazing, top notch. How can this company compete with Porsche, Mercedes, Bentley, Rolls Royce? That's impossible. You're moving too far. You're being too, I guess, analytical. You're missing the picture. Okay, so the fact that Jason was able to sit inside it, and you know what, I think the future is here. First of all, look how simple this is. It's just a steering wheel, like pedal, and the screen. That's it. And back then, Jason understood that this is life changing right here, right now. He was able to understand that, you know what, maybe having too much inside the car is just overkill. And the future is just simple, clean. He saw it, man. Look, I'm so happy for Jason. You don't even understand, and for Dave as well, because I do know from hearing Stephen Marks Ryan solving the money problem. Apparently, Dave has a major portfolio as well, and a big position in Tesla. So I'm happy for the both of them. Absolutely crushing it. Back into the video.
I mean, what are your thoughts regarding that?
yeah. I think it's all about your skill stacks and how many you have, and kind of combining all of those. Um, it's more synthesis and systems thinking than it is being analytical, and it's breadth over depth. So yeah, I think there's something to that, right? Like I think you hit the nail on the head. Like
1,000%.
I'm not particularly gifted in programming. I mean, I can build stuff. I'm pretty good, but I'm like, I'm not going to design some
Exceptional.
incredible algorithm to solve problems. But like, I don't know. I feel like I do have a lot of curiosity, and I love learning, and I've learned a bunch of different, um, you know, subfields within engineering, and also have my background as a kid, just with mechanics and building things. I
Just being
don't know. I mean,
curious.
I'm not special. I'm not trying to say that I'm special. There are a lot of people like me that are systems thinkers. They're good at synthesis and integrating things from different areas and finding similarities and different ideas. Um, And I think that helps with investing. Being having a broad skill stack definitely helps with investing. Um,
Did
yeah,
you know many Googlers who had invested in Tesla? And if so, did they keep their Tesla investments or were they tempted or did they sell early?
I'm sure there were a lot, but I don't remember any in particular. Um, there were a lot of Tesla owners that didn't buy Tesla stock. I talked with quite a few Tesla Model S owners that
They
didn't
must be
have
regretting it.
any Tesla shares. So
Interesting.
they went through the same thing that I did. They went to the Menlo sales
Yeah.
center or went to a sales center, and then they got the factory tour and they bought the car. And I know a few that didn't actually buy any shares even after going through all of that. Um,
They just
Yeah,
couldn't see it.
interesting. Yeah, I know some Googlers who actually did quite well. Some sold,
yeah,
earlier, but some kept. Yeah, it's interesting when I kind of sort out our conversation today. Like one of the things that sticks out is it's like you have a sense of personal like conviction
Yes, it's almost
toward
spiritual.
Tesla in terms of how you think things will play out. Like you're not, let's say, per se sure on the exact timing or the exact numbers per se, but it seems like you have kind of, I wouldn't say an unearthly conviction, but you have some type of conviction that's beyond just a sense. You feel like this is going
yeah,
to be big and it's going to be bigger than
Yes,
people realize, and
yes,
it's not
yeah,
just one thing. It's a combination of lots of
multiple
different things
things.
you've pieced
exactly.
together, right?
That's why I have a hard time explaining it to people, is because it's not just like I look at the financials and I say, oh, look at these numbers. I can't
Yes.
point to any one thing specifically. It's like hundreds of things that if you just think about them all together and synthesize them, you just can build a picture of like, what this company will be in 10 years.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think all of us are wrong in modeling Tesla because nobody knows what's going to happen in 10 years. There's going to be new products introduced, new revenue streams. There'll be, yeah. So I think everybody is going to be wrong.
yeah.
So
Like just in our conversation today, like what I picked up, I just wrote a few notes here is like your conviction in the future of Tesla. It's like it's rooted in a lot of these like insights where you're picking up like something's going on that Tesla has a huge advantage in. Like for example, the power of software, what's going to happen and the margins, and people aren't catching this, like the quality, let's say, of the product, or you're looking at Elon Musk and his management style, his ability to fire. Like
yeah,
we could go on like the
yeah,
ability
yeah,
of
yeah. There are
Elon Musk
hundreds
to
of things.
fire.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like that is such an underrated skill, like underrated thing,
exactly.
and people don't
Yeah,
like. It's not. No one teaches that in terms of valuation, how to value a company or whatever. Like, but when you
yeah,
see Elon Musk fire, like there's something about that, that it's an advantage. Like,
yeah,
especially if you know what you're doing and if like he does.
exactly. Another thing they do is they hire from within, or they
Hmm.
promote from within
Hmm.
at a very high level. Like that's what they did in Standard Oil as well. Like
Hmm.
John Rockefeller actually did that a lot in Standard Oil, if you read about the company. And
Hmm.
so, um, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
So
and then
Wow.
you talk about kind of, let's say you join in some history with Rockefeller, Standard Oil. You join in like cost cutting and what, not just
yeah,
cost cutting is cool, but it's like there's something about cost cutting that's beyond
What?
what people realize, like especially with technology and the lower certain products becoming cost, it opens up huge new markets. And then you talk
right.
about like new products that Tesla can roll out in the future, some which we don't even know about right now.
Yep.
Um, but like all of these things plus others that you've probably gathered, like you're piecing them together in your own way, and it's
Yeah,
the result is you're
and
like, wow, I've never seen a company like
yeah.
this.
And honestly, like it hasn't been a priority for me to write all these down. I'm kind of lazy.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should have been writing all these down for years, but um, yeah, I mean, like there's just so many examples of, you know, just there's lots of small things, right? That when you look at them together, uh, there's I don't think anybody can really compete with them. I think they've already kind of have a monopoly at this point
Mm-hmm.
um, in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So here's a I was just looking at your Twitter account. I'll link it to the in the video description for those who want to follow
I need to get
Jason.
more active on Twitter.
Ross Gerber tweeted, "I'm a fan of Jason DeBolt, and I still think he should sell some of his Tesla stock, maybe 2 million out of 11 million, and put it in municipal bonds. I did that bomb. Firm believer in locking in some wealth." So the story is what you had a
Fair enough.
conversation, I guess a Zoom call with Ross, and he
Yeah.
wanted you to sell some of your Tesla. He thought it was wise. So what was going on through your head, and why didn't you take his advice?
Well, first of all, I
Good
reached out to
question.
his firm because I was looking. I just moved to LA. I knew they were based out of Santa Monica, and I was looking for a trust attorney and maybe some people to help me out with taxes. So I thought maybe I'll just reach out to Gerber's firm, to Ross's firm, and see if they could refer me to some people. And I talked to a guy named Brett. I forgot his last name, but one of Ross's associates, and really cool guy. So he said, yeah, like I can get you on a phone call with Ross, and we can have a beer or something. But because of COVID, we can't do that. So we'll just get on
Yeah.
a Zoom call. And that was a really fun call. I think we talked for like an hour or something like that. But he told me a lot about the cannabis industry and some other investments, and he's really bullish on that. And he's like telling me I should buy a house. It's like he's like, dude, he's like, you can have an incredible life. Like I want to do a Ross accent at some point. Like he's so funny. Ross is great. Like I really had a good time talking with him. He wants me to sell some shares. I disagree. I don't want to sell any shares. But I can see I know where he's coming from. Like his mindset is very different from mine. He's looking after hundreds or thousands of clients.
Makes sense.
Financial managers can't really take a lot of risk because if they take too much risk and something bad happens, all of a sudden, they're going to get overwhelmed with calls from their clients who will tell them to sell. They have to manage risk in a very different way. And I can manage my own risk pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I really respect about Ross is that he was really bullish on Tesla from the beginning. And he's actually been to the factory. He's been, he knows a lot of the people.
I need to go to
He
the
knows a
factory
lot
one
of
day.
Tesla folks and other Tesla investors. I mean, and he was one of the few voices in the mainstream financial media that was bullish on Tesla for like a long period of time, like during the dormant 5-year period where Tesla went nowhere, actually went down. If you choose, depending on which days you choose, you could say that Tesla went down 25% between 2014 and 2019. Depending
My
on
phone
which
just
days you
vibrated. I
choose
thought it
in
was
those
Stephen
years.
Mark Ryan.
So he was
But
one of
it's
the few
not.
voices out there, and so I really respect him for that, for really being a believer in Tesla in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan.
Yeah. No, I think Ross is a fun guy. I just did an interview with
Yeah.
him a few weeks ago, and had a great
Nice.
time. So
I want to
guess,
click off, but this
can
is so
you explain,
captivating.
though, let's say, why you are not, I guess, tempted to take more off the table right now? Does it come down to you just think there's a lot more upside,
Opportunity, yeah.
and you're very confident in that probability of Tesla out executing and growing in a way that's perhaps bigger than people maybe give it right now?
Yeah, I think I can borrow up to $3 million at 1.5% interest, and I'm not going to borrow that amount, and that would be crazy. But I'm going to borrow up to 8%, so $80K for every $1 million in appreciation of my liquid assets. I can borrow pretty comfortably. I don't need any more money than that. I don't really, I have my house. I just bought a Tesla. I have a Model 3 now. I'm all set. I don't need a lot. What am I going to do with that money? I feel
Good
like
point.
Chamath actually has a really good opinion on this about how what are you going to do with the money when you sell Tesla? Like, where else do you want to put it? And I can't think of a better place to put it.
Very,
You know,
very true point. I believe I remember watching that video, but because like if you sell your 1 million shares that you have, right, or your in the value of your portfolio is 1 million, then what are you gonna do with that 1 million? Now you've got a 1 million problem that you need to solve, because the longer that cash just stays there, well, it loses value, inflation, and so forth. So, do you see what I mean? And it's a regret because you believed in that company anyways. So I don't know. Something to think about, you know? Something to think
am I going
about.
to just put it, am I going to let it sit in cash? Like, I don't think that's a good idea.
I just
And, you
said
know, I
that.
could invest in ARKG or, you know, some ARK fund.
Arc
Might not be
genomic.
a bad idea, but it all goes back to what I think Tesla is fundamentally worth. And I think it's worth, even today, going to have a lot more than what it's being valued at.
Got it. Yeah, this is great. I wanted to also ask you about this one thing. So your account setup right now is you've got a kind of individual taxed account with 6 million, and you've got a Roth IRA with 1.1 million, and you've got a IRA, I guess a traditional IRA with about 5 million. I guess that's from your 401k mostly, I guess, rolled
Yeah,
over, right?
yeah, that's my
Okay,
401k.
cool.
The traditional, yeah, 401k is my rollover
Cool.
401k.
So I wanted to ask you about your Roth IRA. You know, I think Roth IRAs are just like, oh my gosh, they're just amazing in terms of,
Yeah,
you know, if you can get
yeah.
one set up, then like the whole thing is like, you know, it's not taxed your distributions or the money you eventually pull off of it. So what got you started in your Roth, and how did it grow over time?
Yeah, so early in my career, I think I talked about how I didn't make a whole lot of money in my first few years at Google. I mean, well, it's relative to Silicon Valley wages, but you know, I made less than the
It's the best
income
thing I've ever
threshold
watched.
for a couple of years there, and I just maximized my Roth contributions, which I think was like $5,000 or $6,000 a year. So I think I put in $39,000 in my Roth, and now it's worth 1.1 million. So that's probably my lowest cost basis account is my Roth. Um, so yeah, I mean that thing could be worth. I mean, if we 10x on Tesla, Roth could be worth 10, $11 million, and it's the capital gains on that are tax free when I'm 59 and a half. So I
Yeah.
think just my Roth alone could finance my retirement, possibly. So
It's amazing.
yeah, Roth is something that I think more people need to understand. I
Yep.
think it's more important to
Well,
understand
ISA.
your Roth than it is like how to invest or what stocks to buy.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I think it's like people should just, when they turn 18, just find a way to get some money in their Roth, or maybe even earlier than that. I don't know
Yeah.
what your legal age is to be able to, you might know, but
Yeah.
you know,
18
what
for the
age can you
UK.
start adding to your Roth? I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, there's
that's
some
really,
there's some strategies that you can get your Roth in early. Like your parents can pay you like for chores and stuff.
oh my
Like,
God, I wish I'd done that.
yeah,
Because I worked a lot growing up, you know, I
yeah,
paid for my own car and everything.
exactly.
Yeah, just,
That's funny.
Yeah, Roth, man, and
yeah,
I'm a big proponent. Like, get started early. Like, put in max you
yeah,
can, and that thing can
exactly.
grow like crazy without taxes. All right, Jason. I want to wish you the best. I'm excited to
Oh
hear
no,
about
is
your
that the
new
end?
YouTube efforts.
No, it's not.
Definitely keep me
Okay. Oh,
posted and up to
it
date.
kind of is.
And yeah, would love to have you back on the show, chat about more Tesla and investing. It's been definitely a fun time. Do you have any other, I guess, concluding thoughts or
Let's
things
hear
to
the
share?
final thoughts.
No, I just, you know, thanks for having me on. It's kind of a trip to be on your show after watching you for so long. So, and I've, you know, I've watched your shows from the beginning. So, yeah, thanks again. I look forward to being on your show again. Definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I want to bring together people who can share, I guess, value and things to help others. Because like this journey, it's like, yeah, I kind of feel a bit for you in the sense of the pain of your margin calls, because I
Yeah,
feel like yeah, I think there's some people who could have helped kind of shed more light on the risks earlier on. But I think
yeah,
as we
It
bring
was a
people
lesson.
bring insights, experiences, lay them all out. Like this is immensely valuable stuff, you know? I mean, it's just crazy, but yeah, appreciate it.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
thanks, Dave.
All right, we'll see you. Jason, take care.
Guys, smash the like button, man. Goodness me, what a video. That was such an amazing video. So many gems and just cookies and biscuits and it was honestly, it was just, I'm speechless. It was delicious. That's all I'm gonna say. It was absolutely mad. Personally, it's given me the motivation to carry on with what I'm doing, because it's not just me who believes that this company is extremely undervalued, regardless of it being like the market cap being the highest with all of the other automotive companies combined. It's still undervalued. So I've just got more motivation. I want to go out and start making some money to start chucking back into this, these shares that I have, and I want to reach 100 shares. I want to at least reach 100 shares. Let's see if it's possible before the end of this year, but I definitely want to reach it. So if you want to follow along to the journey, then you already know what to do. Subscribe button is right below. Just go ahead and click that subscribe button right now and join the family. Whilst you're there, that like button is important, notification bell is important. Trading 212 will give you a free share valued up to £100 if you deposit £1 into the account. Link is down below, and then join the Discord as well so we can share some fire stories on there. Alright guys, but by watching this video you did not waste your time. Don't forget to tell your haters to get in line. Peace out, much love, bye bye guys. Check out that awesome video right there. Subscribe button is right there. It should be somewhere here, okay? All right, but yeah, peace out anyways, bye.